Hi, welcome to the quiz. You will be presented with multiple choice questions, each displayed on screen for a short time. Please make sure to attempt answering all the questions. Quizzes help us to reinforce our knowledge, identify areas where we need to focus more, and improve our overall performance. Taking quizzes can also help to increase retention and make the learning process more engaging and enjoyable. With that out of the way, you can answer along on quizalto.com. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are database proxy costs allocated? Based on each application's connection usage. Entirely to the application with most queries. Equally among all database using apps. To the application that provisioned the proxy. Which AWS service can Application Cost Profiler use to allocate costs for serverless applications? Amazon ECS, AWS Lambda, Amazon EKS, Amazon EC2. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are data transfer costs typically allocated? Based on each application's data flow patterns. Entirely to the application with the most data transfer. Equally among all internet-facing applications. To the application that initiated the most connections. What is the role of AWS IAM in the context of AWS Application Cost Profiler? To control access to cost allocation settings. To authenticate applications for cost tracking. To manage resource level permissions. To authorize budget increases. What is the purpose of the allocation period setting in AWS Application Cost Profiler? To schedule cost report generation. To determine when to update pricing. To define how often costs are distributed to applications. To set the billing cycle duration. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for applications using AWS Fargate? By charging based on the number of tasks. By analyzing task execution metrics. By allocating to the primary container. By distributing costs across all ECS clusters. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are machine learning model training costs allocated? Equally among all ML-enabled apps. To the application with the most model versions. Entirely to the AI or ML department. Based on each application's GPU and data usage. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, what is a cost allocation rule? A discount applied to bulk resource usage. A budgeting limit for AWS spending. A set of criteria to assign shared costs to specific applications. A pricing model for AWS services. What is the purpose of schedule-based allocation in AWS Application Cost Profiler? To bill according to maintenance windows. To align costs with fiscal periods. To charge more during peak usage hours. To allocate costs based on resource reservation times. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for applications using AWS Global Accelerator? By allocating to the primary region. Based on each application's traffic distribution. By charging the application with global presence. By distributing costs to all edge locations. Which AWS service can trigger Application Cost Profiler to update allocation rules based on changes in application architecture? AWS Config. AWS Service Catalog. AWS Systems Manager. AWS CloudFormation. Which AWS service can be used with Application Cost Profiler to alert on application-specific cost spikes? AWS Budgets. AWS Trusted Advisor. AWS Resource Groups. AWS Cost Explorer. What type of AWS cost and usage report is required for AWS Application Cost Profiler? Resource Level CUR. Account Level CUR. Service Level CUR. Region Level CUR. What is the primary purpose of AWS Application Cost Profiler in AWS Cost Management? To compare costs across different AWS regions. To identify unused AWS resources. To allocate shared costs to individual applications or services. To predict future AWS costs based on historical data. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, how are costs handled for resources used in application testing? By allocating to the production version of the app. By tagging with a test identifier for separate allocation. By ignoring test environment costs. By distributing among all applications in development. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation during a blue/green deployment? By allocating all costs to the blue version. By using tags to differentiate between versions. By allocating all costs to the green version. By evenly splitting costs between versions. Which of the following is not a typical shared resource that AWS Application Cost Profiler helps allocate? AWS Direct Connect. Elastic Load Balancers. Dedicated EC2 instances. NAT gateways. In AWS Application Cost Profiler, what is cost allocation harvesting? A way to redistribute surplus budget. The process of collecting and analyzing resource usage data. A method to reduce unused resource costs. A technique to forecast future application costs. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation for auto-scaling groups? By excluding auto-scaling costs from allocation. By using tags or custom rules to associate with applications. By assigning all costs to the primary application. By distributing costs equally among all applications. Which AWS service can provide insights to refine application cost profilers rules over time? AWS X-Ray, AWS CloudTrail, AWS Config, AWS Cost Explorer. Which AWS service can application cost profiler use to allocate costs in a microservices architecture? Amazon ECS, AWS X-Ray, AWS App Mesh, AWS Cloud Map. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle costs for resources without tags in a shared environment? By assigning all untagged costs to a default application. By evenly splitting costs among all applications. By using custom allocation rules. By excluding untagged resources from cost allocation. What is the role of AWS Glue in enhancing AWS Application Cost Profiler's accuracy? To provide data lineage for better cost tracking. To transform cost data into a standard format. To schedule cost allocation jobs. To catalog all AWS resources for billing. How does AWS Application Cost Profiler handle cost allocation during disaster recovery drills? By allocating all DR costs to the IT department. By using specific tags for DR resources. By distributing DR costs across all critical apps. By ignoring costs during DR exercises. Which AWS service does Application Cost Profiler integrate with to gather resource usage data? AWS CloudWatch, AWS CloudTrail, AWS Cost Explorer, AWS Trusted Advisor. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.